Samsung's design approach with the S26 Ultra sheds the brute titanium aesthetic of the past in favor of a thinner, lighter aluminum frame. The price remains at $1,299. However, the value proposition for that money has shifted away from broad cosmetic changes toward highly specialized tools for specific workflows. The marketing highlights three major additions: a hardware-level privacy display, gimbal-level video stabilization, and much faster 60-watt wired charging. But those features come with immediate trade-offs. The phone lacks magnetic wireless charging, clutters the interface with 4 redundant AI assistants, and is already seeing reports of physical hardware defects. This chart separates the actual utilities from the gimmicks by plotting features based on their daily impact versus the effort required to use them. Up here in the high-impact, low-effort zone, we have Horizon Lock. It offers massive video stabilization benefits without requiring you to change a single thing about how you shoot. Conversely, the AI ecosystem sits deep in the high-effort zone. Getting these multiple assistants to actually save you time requires a steep learning curve and frequent manual corrections. Spending $1,300 on this phone only makes sense if these highly specialized tools actually solve a friction point you face every day. The most significant hardware addition is the Flex Magic Pixel display. If you regularly handle sensitive documents in public, this is a tool built specifically for you. This diagram shows how it works at a pixel level. When you activate Privacy Display, the phone shuts off the wide pixels, cutting the viewing angle down to a narrow, forward-facing cone. You don't have to run it globally. You can set the polarization to activate only for specific applications, like your banking software, or restricted to obscure incoming notification pop-ups. But this security requires a visual compromise. Because the screen physically turns off half its pixels to block side angles, the primary user sees a slightly desaturated display with lower color accuracy. Early buyers are also reporting that the active polarization makes text look fuzzy, which can lead to mild eye strain during long reading sessions. Compensating for that hardware-induced strain generally requires you to keep the Eye Comfort Shield feature toggled on in the display settings. The Privacy Display is a win for corporate data security. You just have to accept a permanent dip in raw visual fidelity and reading comfort to get it. While the camera hardware looks similar to last year's model, the primary lenses have been physically modified. The 200-megapixel main sensor opens up to a wider f1.4 aperture, and the 5x telephoto reaches f2.9. Those wider apertures allow significantly more light to hit the sensors, resulting in night-type photography with noticeably less grain. For video, Samsung added a 360-degree horizon lock. Using the internal gyroscope, the phone keeps your footage perfectly level, even if you fully rotate or violently tilt the device while moving. However, early production batches are showing a significant quality control risk. Users are reporting heavy condensation forming inside the camera lenses. Addressing this internal condensation requires a full warranty replacement or a visit to a service center to fix a physical failure in the housing's weather sealing. The stabilization and low-light performance are elite, but right now, buying the S26 Ultra means hoping your specific unit doesn't have a compromised seal. Inside, the phone runs on the custom Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 processor. It pushes the device past 24 hours of heavy use while keeping the chassis cool through a larger internal vapor chamber. When you do drain the battery, the wired charging speeds have finally been increased to 60 watts, providing a practical way to get an extremely fast midday top-up. But the wireless charging situation is fragmented. Samsung intentionally left out the magnetic alignment required by the new Qi 2 standard because those magnets interfere with the S Pen. While Samsung advertises 25 watts of wireless charging, users using standard accessories will often see their charging speeds fluctuate between 10 and 15 watts. Reaching that 25-watt wireless peak requires purchasing a separate, specific 45-watt charging brick that isn't included in the box. The raw wired power and battery life are phenomenal, but the wireless charging experience is currently slow and expensive to optimize. On the software side, Samsung packed the interface with generative tools, from search to search down to on-device audio erasers for your videos. However, the experience is hindered by the excessive bloat of 4 overlapping AI assistants competing for your attention. You have Google Gemini, Samsung's Galaxy AI, Bixby for system settings, and Perplexity integrated for general knowledge. Having to decide which assistant to use for a basic request creates constant friction, and these advanced agents often fail in the real world. Gemini might promise to book you an Uber only for you to open the app and find that no ride was actually booked. Individual AI tools are brilliant in isolation, but the lack of a unified, streamlined assistant makes the overall software experience feel unfinished. The S26 Ultra's value entirely depends on matching its niche tools to your specific daily workflow. This decision matrix maps out the final verdicts for 4 distinct user profiles. First is the corporate commuter. If you regularly handle sensitive data in public, this path leads to a strong buy. For this user, the visual security on flights and trains outweighs the slight screen desaturation. Next is the content creator. Following the path through the 360-degree horizon lock brings us to a cautious buy warning. Elite stabilization is great, but inspect your unit for camera condensation. For current S24 or S25 Ultra owners, the matrix routes to a definitive skip. This move is too expensive to justify unless you have a mandatory need for the privacy display or 60-watt wired charging. Finally, the platform switcher, coming from an iPhone or an older Android device. This path lands on buy with caveats. You'll get peak hardware versatility, but you must manually disable the AI bloat and abandon any magnetic charging ecosystems you've built. The S26 Ultra is a highly specialized tool. Spend the $1,299 only if these exact features solve a problem in your specific workflow. Otherwise, ignore the hype.